Evening, everyone, and welcome to Find Me a Medium and our online live. Tonight we're doing something a little bit different. We're planning me to do some rune readings, and I've got my tarot cards. So as always, I suggest people just put up their names and keep commenting. We don't know if you're still here if you're not commenting, okay? And we don't know that you're here. So you're not likely to get a reading if you don't comment, okay? That's it. So hi Lauren, hi Helen, hi Julie, hi Joanna, Michelle, all the way from Calgary. Okay, so if you would like a tarot reading from myself, I'm going to start us off this. Please just say that you'd like a reading, and we'll get. So, anybody would like a reading? All I'm going to do is pull one card, do one card for you. Joanna Jones, yes. Okay, so I will pull one card for you and do you a one card reading. Joanna, you've got the golden flower, temperance. So I know you've got a situation around you where you need an awful lot of okay, somebody is really pushing you to the edge in terms of make their minds up. They're really thinking about really taking their time, and it's becoming quite frustrating for. So the message with this card, the golden flower there, your time, just take a deep breath in, acknowledge that it's their problem, okay, and just allow time take its course. Everything will work out as you're just giving patience and that temperance, because if you're not giving that patience, sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback here, and it will keep happening. It will keep happening. Okay, lessons that's coming in for you about taking a deep breath and just with it. Okay, hope that you understand that and that makes sense. So, who else wanted a card there? Julie Wood, you said yes, I would. Okay, so let's put a. Joanne Jones says yes, that makes sense. Thank you, Joanne. And we've gone back to Julie Wood. So yes, I would. Right. Let's get your card. Six of Mirrors. Oh, this is driving me potty on this other end. I've been trying to share and it's not that at all that's doing it. No idea what's doing that. So Six of Mirrors. Julie, you've been spending time in just having a think about things and I'm just reflecting on the different messages that can you see he's really examining that flute really and really having a good think about what it's all about. So I know there must be a situation for you where you're examining something, coming to terms. You were quite enjoying it because he's got a lovely smile on his face when and it's getting to the point, like him, where he's just about ready to play. So you're just about getting to the point where you're wanting to be involved with this thing that have been looking at and having a little play with, and it's time to take that step in that flute. Okay, so that card's saying go for it. So again, I hope that makes sense. Right, I am going to see is ready to join us to do some rune reading. Are you all right, Kay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Now, I know that Lauren Bouchard was interested in a rune reading. Now, what I will ask you to do is to give me a number between 1 and 24, because that is how I select the runes for you when you're not with me. So if you just type in the chat the number you would like between 1 and 24, and I will pull out the rune. So, okay, Lauren, you've chosen number 6. Let me grab that, and I'm just going to cast it for you. What I do is I set out the 24 runes in 3 rows on the table in front of me, so that when you say a number, I can pull out the one you want. Okay, what you have here is known as Dagar, which is the new day, but it's come in the reverse position, which tells me that in one way you would like to start something new, but it's either quite hard to bring it about at the moment, or you're a little bit uncertain about it. And I'm going to pick 2 more runes just to go with this one, just the ones that I feel attracted to for you. And that will give a deeper meaning to what we've already done. Okay. Now, you would say, I feel that part of the obstacle to going forwards in the way that you want to would be the way your life is structured at the moment. It's not exactly being as helpful as you would like. But the 3rd rune, the one that I chose for you, is about finding new direction given a little time. So I hope that this reading gives you encouragement to keep thinking in terms of starting something new when you feel right with it, and when life kind of wants to work with you to take it forwards. And of course, the only way to find that out is when you have ideas, is to, look at them, try them, what have you, and see what happens. But there is a lot of encouragement here, even though it has been hard to make it happen. I hope that is meaning for you, Lauren. Now, I see here that Tanya Ridow, if I pronounce that correctly, or Ridout, I don't know how you pronounce it, has chosen number 21. So here we are. And I'm just going to cast that for you to see how it wants to fall, because how they fall will make a difference. This is interesting. We have X marks the spot, but this, to me, this is also the rune about decision making, the kind of decisions where you have to make you make a commitment to something. So to give you an example, it doesn't have to be a major decision, but it's going to be about more than which pair of shoes to choose when you've got a choice between 2. It's more major than that. But what it tells me is that there is likely to be a decision around you, if not now, in the near future. It doesn't have to be heavy or onerous, but that the choice you make would require a commitment to that choice. Sometimes X marks the spot can be literal in that we know if we're going to sign an agreement or a contract, quite often there will be an X where we sign our name, which is a tradition going back in ancient times that is not really because people couldn't write, but it's this indication of highlighting the point of intent. So there is something here also related to the decision where your intent is important, and it's important to make sure that you have sufficient intent to carry through on what you decide. Now, I'm just going to pick another couple of runes to go with that to give us a little bit more info. Okay, excellent. So at the moment, you're looking at ways to use your talents and abilities more and to expand upon those. And I would give you encouragement. I would definitely give you encouragement on that. If you don't quite know your direction at the moment, then I feel before you make a final decision, you do need to wait to be in a position where you do feel more sure of your direction. I hope this is meaningful for you and it works for you. Is that okay, Tanya? So we have Eva Matabane. You would like number 3. I am just going to cast that for you now. And this is like an letter M upside down the way it has fallen. When it is in this position, this rune always speaks of working together, working in partnership. Now, that doesn't have to be a romantic partnership. It can be the partnership we have with a landlord, an employer, with the local tennis club. You know, there are many ways that we have, or a friend. There are many ways that we have partnership in our lives. But when this falls this way, there will normally be a partnership around you, normally yours, in some way, where you would say, I don't know that that's working very well at the moment. And this rune indicates that for the long term, for a longer term working together, it would need to be put on a different footing so that it can work well for both parties, or it would need to come apart. You have to sometimes allow life to unfold before you know which it would be. Other times in your own heart, you know what it would be. And I'm just going to pick 2 runes to go along with it here and cast those. Yes. Okay. You do need to ask for inspiration from the universe, because this rune here is known as Cowan. It's about what is within us that needs to heal and what is within our situation that needs to heal. But it's saying here, ask for inspiration, and the inspiration to bring your best ideas and thoughts forwards. And then there is a more positive situation that wants to build for the future that may or may not be related to this partnership. But there is something here that indicates a future, a desire for the future to do something that is beneficial to humanity. Now, that doesn't always have to be a big goal. You know, if we work as a shop assistant and we really enjoy smiling for our customers, well, we're helping humanity in a way, aren't we? But this is about something where you would like to express in a way that is helpful to humanity, and there is encouragement for that in the future when the time is right. So now I believe I'll hand back to Veronica, and we have a bit of tarot.
Okay, thank you, Kay. So as I mentioned before, keep commenting so I know that you're still here, and if you would like a tarot, just in the comments that you would like a tarot we just doing the 1 card pulls and just doing a read. Okay, so thank you for sharing, Tanya, and hi Christina, hi Helen. Oh, Stella, you would like a card. Okay, let's pull your card out. Sorry, I meant to just highlight your name there, Stella. Okay. Stella, 7 of Scrolls for you. Now, this is an interesting card because it's suggesting to me you've got a choice there, and you're going to have to choose which you want to go for. Now, in the past, you've used an understanding the scrolls are like books, those kind of things. So you've made decisions on a very sensible basis with your mind. Okay. And starting to think maybe, just maybe, there's another way of making decisions. They haven't always worked out for you, have they? And at the moment is a query, a sense around that of questioning, well, which direction should I go in? How should I make this decision? What should I do? I'm not going to tell you. That's not my job, believe it or not, as a tarot reader. I can tell you the option. It's personal responsibility. It's your responsibility to choose the pathway that. I know that if you just go purely with your mind, you will keep getting stuck at the same point. At the same time, going purely with your heart, I think you will. Okay. And you already know that. And I think that at the two doors, trying to decide which way to go, because it's like, I've got one thought in my head, I've got another thought in my heart. How do I manage that? Okay. Talk to friends, talk to family, talk to loved ones. Talk it through. You don't have to be. And often when we feel most lost is because we're alone. Use it as an opportunity to bring other people around you into your heart and share with them your ideas, and see what doesn't mean you have to they're saying as the answer to go forward, but the discussions that you will bring new ideas in and help you make that decision. So thank you for allowing me to read for you, Stella, and I hope that makes. So Tina, you're to come through for you. As I say, everybody keep on commenting, please, so we know. Yeah. Don't scroll back through the old comments, because we'd like to just keep on going. Okay, so I'll do one more pull to Kay. So Tina, obviously got a scrolls night tonight because we've got the 5 of scrolls now. So Tina, I've bet. Thank you, Stella, for that comment there. I get a sense of anger around with you at the moment and frustration, and it's of this sword into this kind of situation. Quite some force that you're angry with this, angry with how a situation has turned out, and really trying to put this anger into words, and it's just sitting there, and you know, very difficult to express how you're feeling. And suggesting to me is not into words, but put into words on paper. Put all of your feelings on paper. It's not for anybody to read. It's for you to get out of those, get those emotions out, ideas out, get that confusion out that has been sitting for, as you see the trees at the back, it's like you can't see the wood for the trees. You've done this in the past, so you fully understand what I'm talking about with this. But I want to say there's issues batting around for you from that past situation. there's certain things that haven't fully resolved, and there's all, because you haven't resolved why those occurred in the past, a risk of those happening again in the future. Okay. For instance, I want to give, and I'm not saying that this is your situation, for instance, we can be a certain type that likes, when we're younger, exciting men in our life. We go for exciting men who make us feel special, got the gift of the gab and all the rest of it. But it doesn't actually, what we really need for us, and be scenario, is a different type of person because of the person we are. We don't recognize the mistake that we've made in the first place. We will keep going. You got rid of the deadwood friends. So check what happened. Why were those people friends in the first place? Because you're at risk of making exactly the same as they were in the past. So sort that out. Sort out what as them being your friends. Resolve with about, well, actually, is that what I really need? That type of person, and different type of person. As I said, Tina, it's really, for instance, okay, to explain that this. So you've obviously got it, and I think when you've said good friends in the past, there is a risk coming up of making new friends that are exactly the same as the old ones. So just be careful of that. Forget what I said about the gentleman's side. Very happily married, and that's great. And that was just a for instance, okay. And I hope it comes at a timely manner for you. So over to Kay. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I've chosen rune number 7 for Helen Mansell. You'll pop that in the chat, so hopefully you're aware that I'm working with you, and I'm just going to cast that for you now. Okay, we have this rune known as Odilla that has come in upside down. When this rune comes in this way, there will always have been a significant break from the past. Most often also, there will have been what I call a branch that fell off the family tree. That may not be even within your lifetime. It could be something, that there's a branch of the family that you know nothing about because there was no contact or something like that. Or it could be within your lifetime, within your experience, that there's had to be a part of the family that you have very little or nothing to do with when this shows this way. And also, location-wise, when this rune turns up, quite often people are wondering, at the very least wondering, whether they are currently in the right location for them, or even perhaps feeling homesick for a previous location that is showing here. So hopefully it is meaningful for you. Perhaps you could comment in the chat. I'm just going to pick a couple more runes for you and cast those. Let me see. So the answer, the thing we've got here is the rune that points to very positive direction, which would suggest that the targets you're currently aiming for or hoping to aim for are positive and, carefully chosen, because one of the names for this rune is Eo, which means yew. The yew tree was the preferred tree for making the Old English longbows, and they were used to aim for the target. But there is also a significance here, but with both flexibility and strength. And I feel that you have had to use both qualities in your own life at the moment to make the most of it, but that you have those qualities and you are able to use them. and you are also using your talents. This rune is known as fair or fairhu. I always say it relates to soft wealth rather than the hard wealth of corporations or big structures. But in the olden days, this would relate to the sheep that a person had. And it's like the talents we've got is what we've got to offer that we can use to make wealth. Wealth that is not always financial, I've got to say. We're talking here also about enough wealth as in enoughness rather than riches. But there is encouragement here to use the skills in the way that you want to use them, because it feels as though the time is right now. So if I can leave that with you, and I see that Stella has chosen number 14, so I will move on to work with Stella, if I may. Find number 14. Here we are. And you have chosen Dagar, and it's coming the right way up, which always bodes well for anything new that you've started or are planning to start, provided you've done what I call the foundation work or the assessment phase, and you're happy with it, then this rune will bode well for anything that kind of involves a new start. And it can be, it can be a new hobby or interest. It doesn't have to be a new job or a new relationship or a new home. It can be much smaller than that, but always in a way that brings something beautiful and fulfilling for you. Now, I'm just going to have a look here at another 2 runes that I want to pick for you. And here we have this rune that is telling me it's known as Manas or Mother. It speaks of mankind, of humanitarian values and efforts. And it is good for you. You love to help people, but at the same time, at the present time, it feels as though you can help people and you can love doing it. But you do need to put your own self first as well, because you're kind of building a foundation, it would seem, from which you can in future help people a little bit more. And I want to say help them by being cheery. That feels very important here, that people are, they're happy in your presence because of the personality that you've got. So, of course, it does matter that you've got opportunities for meeting people, because you can't use that kind of skill without, can you? But I feel people love you not just because of the talents you've got, but because of your way with them, your way of talking to them, your way of making them feel good. And I feel that it's important to use the inspiration that you already have. There isn't really a need, I don't feel, to look too much for more inspiration at this time. It's just moment by moment, because it seems as though you've got yourself into really quite a good place. If I can leave that with you. Okay, so is it back to you now, Veronica, or do I do another one?
There's a couple more wanting rune readings, so I'll go with them.
Okay, there's number 2 here, so let's grab number 2. Okay, this is a lovely rune. It's known as Answers. Now, the name Answers comes from the Old Indo-European word Answaru, which gives us the English word answer and the Icelandic word svara. We know answer. Svara means to reply or respond, and there is a correspondence between those. I like svara better because it's more creative. It's less like A plus B equals C, but that's just me. And as I'm looking at this is telling you that for whatever is around you at the moment, you may not be able to do it instantly, but you should be able to find answers if you look for them. And sometimes the best answers I am feeling intuitively are the simple ones. And then we can think, why didn't I think of that before? Why ever didn't I think of that? But the answer then is not to berate ourselves for not thinking of it. Just explore it and see where it takes you. And I'm going to pick 2 more for you now. There we are. Okay. And what this is telling me is, when finding your answers, don't try to be in too much of a hurry, but at the same time, don't worry about what has not gone forwards in the past. Just think, well, I tried that. I needed to try it. It didn't work, but, you know, on with the next thing. Try to be like Thomas Alva Edison, who invented the light bulb. The man who, when he found something that didn't work, thought he was one step nearer to the thing that did. And as we all know, he did create that light bulb. So that is important. Sometimes we're constantly searching for something that we cannot see, because we've got Cowan here and it's closed towards the right, which makes me feel that you have been asking for inspiration and you don't feel that you've received it or received it enough. But I feel sometimes we can't see the wood for the trees, and there is inspiration there that I feel has already come to you, but maybe not being recognized as such, but that in the right moment you would be able to recognize it and put it together with the first rune answers to find, you know, better ways with things that are troubling you at the moment. Okay. Hopefully that works well for you. Now let me see who I have here. Right. Christina Harris, if you would like a rune reading, you're going to have to give me a number. I'm glad you understand that, Andrea. Okay. So Anne-Marie Newman has given me a number, so I'm going to work with that, and number 3. Please excuse any sound from hammering in the background. It is not coming from my apartment. This is a very nice rune in many ways. It can be irritating in certain circumstances. It's known as Is or Isa. The meaning of that word is ice. There's also some correlation with the Egyptian goddess Isis, many people would say. But what this is about strength and support. And it's also like the glacier that takes a long time to carve its way through the mountain and to create the valley. And it reminds us that anything worthwhile can take time. In the olden days, this rune would often signify, and sometimes it still does, but not in this reading, will often signify pregnancy. And we know that with a pregnancy, from the moment the mum knows that she is pregnant, then she's just got to wait it out, because a healthy child is being grown. We cannot hurry it, we just have to wait. And so it is with many things in life. If we're taking a degree course, for example, it can take 3 years. We just have to wait it out. But we're creating something that is very strong and very worthwhile. The other side of this rune can be a cooling of emotions. So if there is an emotional situation where you would say the emotions are not as warm as you would want them, then it is important to try to fix that. We can't guarantee that it can always be fixed, but by giving it your attention in the here and now, that can make a positive difference very often. Whereas if we leave it, it just seems to become cooler and cooler. Although some people, of course, you know, some situations, that's what needs to happen. You know, friendships grow cool and they drift away and they're replaced by something else. And it's part of the evolution of life. But I really want to relate it more to a little bit to the frustration felt by trying to create something that is solid and stable, and it's a slow process that hopefully would be meaningful to you. I'm just going to pick a couple more runes here to get some further understanding on that. Okay. This is interesting because whatever you're trying to bring about, there is an indication that it will come together in a good way for you in the future, not necessarily in the same way that you're approaching it now, but this is something positive that wants to come together in the reasonably near future. So that is good. You may or might not know about that. And with the frustration that you've had in trying to create something or build something or progress something, there have been circumstances around you rather than personal limitations, but caused by circumstances around you that have been the issue. And sometimes we have to wait for those to clear or approach in a slightly different way so that that can be overcome. But there is encouragement in this reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. I'll do a couple more then. As I've mentioned before, if people keep commenting, and I know that you're still on here if I see your comments, okay? So hi, Christina. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Christine Clayton. And Anne-Marie Newman, she just said thank you. It's fantastic. So well done, Kay. Thank you. Okay, Christine Clayton, you've asked for a card. So let's pull you a card. Okay. The Watcher. Okay. Now, with this lady, she's a lady that likes to observe the world and to take her time before making any judgment about it. And you can see the owl up in the tree there. Well, the owl, as often we find owls as a symbol of wisdom. This is suggesting to me that you are in a situation where you need just to step a little bit back, use your wisdom, listen, and just take your time about making that decision. There's a lot of knowledge. Can you see her bag there? Her bag's jumping out a bit there at me. And there's a lot of previous knowledge and understanding that you've gained in the past, okay? And now's the time for that knowledge, that understanding to play its role, okay? Don't make rash decisions at the moment. It's not going to work. Use your inner wisdom that is needed. Okay, it's interesting because there's a full moon there, and it's full moon tonight, I believe, as well, isn't it, Kay? So this is a powerful time for thinking. This is a powerful time for reflection. Okay, so take your time with it and reflect rather than jumping into decisions that need to be made at the moment. Okay. So, who else would like a card? Christina Marie Harris, you've said that you'd like a card. So, waiting patiently. Well done. Patience is rewarded. And keeping commenting as well, because then we know that you're still here. Okay. So, Christina, okay. Right, the sun. All right. Now, what's interesting about this card, sun is invariably sunshine, brightness, happiness, things are working out. But look at that tear on her cheek. So I know that even though things are reasonably well at the moment, there's a tear, and I feel that this is a past loss that tinges your emotions and things that are happening around you. And rather than that sun looking really happy, to me, it's looking quite melancholy. So I want to say that you've been feeling quite melancholy recently too. You would understand the anniversary of a passing around this time or just gone, okay? And it's this that is playing on your mind and bringing this sadness through. I want to say embrace it. Embrace the grief, embrace the fact that actually it is only the deepest loves that we have in our lives that can hurt us to the level that you've been hurt. Okay? And rejoice in the love that you had and still have, because Spirit is with you. The loved one that is passed is still with you. They are still around you. Okay, not in physical form, and okay, you just can't talk to them and hear their voice in the same way you would when they're on the earth plane. But they are still around you. They still have that depth of love and connection with you. And be joyful of that connection, okay? And over time, keep talking to them. Keep talking to them as though they were still here, because they are still here. Keep talking to them because it brings them closer to you and that connection closer. And your desire to have a connection with them, that will grow stronger and stronger for you over time, where you feel them close. But I know you already feel them close anyway. And I want, you see all of the birds that are surrounding this as well. I want to say one of the things that you notice a lot is the feathers, and you wonder if it's them being around with the feathers. And yeah, okay. So I'm going to leave you with that beautiful sun card and the love that I can feel coming in from Spirit for you. Okay. Thank you, Christina. I'll hand you back to Kay. Okay, before I do, would you like to explain the runes a little bit to people? Because I know that some people may not come across the runes.
I'll talk a little bit about them. They definitely were used as an alphabet in the Nordic region pre-Roman, before we had the Roman letters that we use today. They can be seen on rune stones. I think the earliest one found by Professor Zilmer, a German professor, actually is believed to go back to the 1st century BCE. We know that runic symbols of different kinds have been found in all sorts of places, not just in the Nordic region, but much more in the Nordic region. And the rune stones, which were used for commemorative purposes, are almost exclusively within Denmark, Norway, Sweden. We don't have any rune stones in Iceland. Iceland was only settled in about 871 BCE. Sorry, not BCE. It's not before Christ, it's after. Before Common Era, CE, Common Era. And we know that from the writings in the sagas that people did have certain beliefs around them. It wasn't just for lettering, although the likelihood is they were not used the way that I'm using them today. We don't have any evidence for that, but it is perfectly possible that they were. And then when the Roman alphabet arrived in the Nordic region, We know that runic writing was still used for inscriptions, for commemorative purposes for some time. And people might argue, well, it's easier to create straight lines than curves if you're carving into stone. But the fact was, in other parts of the world, the Roman lettering was used on inscriptions, and they definitely had techniques available to them that they used in jewellery making, ornamental purposes, whereby they could create curves, carving on wood, carving on stone. So it would seem that they kind of had a special high regard for them. And what I read here are known as the Elder Futhark. There is also what they call the Younger Futhark, which is an older system of runes, although some are the same. And there is also older Frisian symbols from Germany and part of what we now call Denmark, although Denmark did not exist at that time. So when people come here, they see what they see as runic symbols. They're made in, you can get rune necklaces with these runes, but you get the other symbols quite often in Icelandic souvenir shops. And people think that those go back to ancient times as well, but they don't. We know that the oldest ones found seem to have come about in about 1750. And those are like combination runes, but they would be placed on fishing boats and so on, for good luck and for a good catch and so on, because the runes have meaning. So if you want to choose one to wear, I would say choose one that has the qualities that you would like to see more of in your life, provided you're committed to working for those qualities. Or that you would like, if you would like more courage, then choose one that is going to help you with that. Because we all know that if we know the meaning of something and we have it around us, it's a bit like having a vision board. It's within our thoughts. And I certainly believe there is a quantum reality, and that when we give attention to something, we collapse waves of potential into particles that can become part of physical reality. So if you want to wear a rune, I would say know its meaning and choose it with care. Make it work for you, in other words.
Thank you, Kay. Would you like to do a couple more readings?
I'll see if somebody has given me a number. Okay, let's see. Who would like a rune reading that
Sam Hurst has put in 4.
Okay, let's go for that then. Let's go for number 4. Number 4, this rune, and I don't put them back in the same place, but this rune is popular tonight. It's come out 3 times already. It's Dagar, the rune that speaks really of something new on your pathway, but it's come in looking like an egg timer, which means in a way you would feel it's taking too long to happen, or it's a little bit hard to bring about, but it's there. So it is positive in itself, but it may well be that you're trying to achieve something that is a little bit frustrating. And when that happens, we do always have to ask ourselves, maybe would it be better to choose something else? But we also have to consider what it is we like. And, if we're really passionate about the thing that we're pursuing, we usually want to, give it longer and see how it works out. But I'm going to get a couple more runes into this reading here and just see how that goes. There we are. So we have something here that has not come out before. This is known as Thorazaz, and it's coming in the upright position. It very much speaks of boundaries. Now, when it comes out, there's always boundary issues in one way. That can be boundaries that are too hard and unforgiving. It can be boundaries that are too soft and wibbly wobbly. And What this is saying when it's in its positive position is it's good to give a consideration of whether the boundaries that you're using are still working for you, because we pick up habits along the way, and what did work for us 6 months ago that was really necessary 6 months ago might not be necessary today. In fact, it might even be a hindrance today if that phase of our life is behind us. But what this is saying is look at your boundaries, check how appropriate they are for you. And some people say, they just look at me and say, I haven't got any boundary issues. But time management is a boundary issue. And I've got a feeling here that time management would be something here that you would need, that could do with a little bit of looking at and maybe a little bit of reshaping. And I'm just going to look at this, but there is something new that does want to go forwards for you, that the universe will work with you on. In other words, the wind will be at your back, not blowing in your face, because this is Wraith or Rado. It's the wheel. It's like the wheel of fortune in tarot. And in the olden days, this was also about riding forwards. And when we're riding forwards, it's positive. So there is scope for positive movement here, even though there has been frustration with creating that. But there's like a fresh wind that comes in with this. So it may well be something new or a different way of approaching what you have been approaching and not getting very far with. If I can leave that with you. I know that Ayla would like a reading as well. So I'm just going to come to Ayla. Now, Ayla, you've chosen number 9, haven't you? Now, we've got number 9 here. Let me have a little look. And you've got Hagalaz, also known as Hagley. It means hail. It's not, people look at that and think, well, that's negative. It isn't really. It's a little tiny challenge. But if we imagine hail, if we go out knowing it's going to rain, we've got a good raincoat or an umbrella, and we get hail as well as the rain, does it really matter? We know that hailstorm is going to, be short-lived. But this rune, it always talks about something that is a little bit of an obstacle, or it's directed you off course. And what happens is it's one of those things that you have to work around. It's never just about how you feel. It's always about, real life, everyday happenings, that something got in the way and was a bit irksome. Now, I had this rune come up for a lady, to give you an example of how it can work. She was going to Greenland, and I picked up with it that I felt there was a delay with travel. I didn't know she was going to Greenland before she went back to the States. And she said, oh, I can understand that. The flights are often delayed. That's why I've allowed 3 days after before I go back to the States. Well, she emailed me afterwards and said, unfortunately, her flight was delayed by 4 days. But it wasn't, so she missed her, she had to rejig her flight back to the States. But it wasn't, it wasn't something terrible. It's not something terrible with this, but it is something that can be irritating or irksome that we just have to work around. It's not something that we can say, I'm absolutely going to carry on as though it's not there. We can't do that. We have to adjust in some way. But it's a short-lived adjustment when this rune shows up. So I'm going to pick 2 more here and just see what I'm drawn to. Here we are. Okay, we again have the boundary rune. And I feel with this, in your case, that there is an issue between you and somebody else where boundaries are concerned, as though something that you think, well, it should be respected and not happen again. It's kind of like a little problem keeps coming up again and again in the same way, despite having set new boundaries. So that needs thinking about, so that you can move forwards from that. And then this is about determination, your determination to walk forwards in a positive way that is comfortable for you, that I feel is easier for you, creating in a way in your life, a greater sense of ease is something that it is worthwhile to work towards, because this is also the determination rune. So I know that determination and also your sense of direction, as in aiming for the target, would be important, as would consideration of what is valuable to you. There are two names for this rune. One of them is Eo, which equates to the wood of the yew tree. The other is Ur, which is an old, very ancient Icelandic word for horse. If you imagine in any country, if we were taking a journey on horseback in the olden days, we had to think, what can that horse carry? Is it worthwhile using the energy of the horse for this journey? Is this journey, is it worthwhile? And this is about thinking of what is worthwhile for you and what is not worthwhile for you, and shifting the wheat from the chaff, because you do deserve to aim for what are good targets in life for you. Thank you.
Thanks ever so much, Kay. Okay, well, that's us for this evening, but tomorrow we've got quite a few things going on. At 12 o'clock, we've got Derek Spall doing some mediumship readings. 4 o'clock, Lisa Edelman has got tarot readings. These are all UK times, by the way. 6 o'clock, we've got spiritual healing with Sue Javrone, and we've finished the evening off at 9 o'clock with cards and mediumship with Fulvia. Okay, so if you want to join us at any of those times, just pop on, and as you've been so good tonight, keep on commenting so we know that you're there. Okay, and thank you for joining us. I do keep forgetting to mention about the subscription group. You don't need to be a member of the subscription group to watch these lives at all, okay? But if you would like additional chances for readings, or if you're a developing medium that you want to practice in a safe environment giving readings, then join our subscription group and just put yourself out in that group saying what you want, okay? It's only 99p a month, and it's mainly that, just to keep the scammers out, okay? The other subscription group I've got is for my daily lists. Today there was 58 events on the list, and the events from 12 o'clock at night all the way through to 12 o'clock the following night, okay? From all across the world, and there's lots of open circles on there. There's lots of lives like this from all across the world. There's spiritualist services, there's talks, there's discussions, you name it. If it's got anything to do with spiritualism, spirit, meditations, that kind of thing, it'll be on the list, okay? If you're interested in either of those, then just go to my website, FindMeAMedium, and you'll find all about it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you ever so much to Kay. I hope you've enjoyed it, Kay.
I have, yes.
Yeah, and you'll come back again?
I will, yeah. I would not want to do mediumship on this format, but
it is different.
I'm okay with runes, but because I work very fast, doing mediumship with this, I would find it frustrating.
Yeah, it's not for everybody with the mediumship, but it's a lot easier with the psychic stuff.
It is.
And it's a lot easier. So no, that's fine. We'll get you in the diary. Okay then, folks, we've been an hour. Thank you ever so much for joining us, and come along tomorrow to any of those ones that you want. Okay.